This is the Basement Vagrants Podcast.
What kind of a wiener name is that?
With Recker.
All these morons getting dumber or just louder.
Bubs.
I'm a big four-eyed lame-o, and I wear the same stupid sweater every day
And Schweitzer.
Nerd!
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Hey there, everybody. It's another episode of the Basement Vagrants Podcast with our second episode of 2022. We're really hitting them hard this year.
I know it. Big budget productions here.
We got a bunch of things to talk about this week, including a feature movie review of The Kingsman, which came out in theaters, like a month ago, and it already has hit Blu-ray.
I thought it was end of 2021, no?
I don't think so. I think it was beginning.
Okay.
But anyway, so we got that. And of course, to my right here is the one and only, the inimitable Bubs C. Bubsington III.
Hello.
And joining us through the magic of the internet is Andrew Schweitzer, of course, no longer in studio.
He's
Good
the
day.
King's boy.
The King's boy.
No, I'm just the whipping boy.
That's true. You're the Punga of our show.
Oh.
Oh, we love you, Punga. We miss you.
You know what?
So, before we get into a feature review here, there's a couple things I wanted to bring up. One of them was for Bubs. Big news just happened in the world of wrestling last night. This is hot breaking news. Tony Khan, the owner of AEW Wrestling, just revealed that he has purchased Ring of Honor, which, as far as I know, has been on hiatus for quite a long time.
Did he clean his couch cushions or something? If you told me this 5-10 years ago, even just 5 years ago, I'd say, oh, that's a pretty big thing for indie wrestling. Somebody with some money can invest in it, make it big again, get it off like the syndicated network, bring that onto a more major network, get it seen. He's got a solid roster of indie guys, putting them all together and bringing it under one umbrella. It's fine. But he basically took that idea and made AEW with it. So, what are you getting? And I heard he paid like $25-30 million.
I read 45.
Whoa.
Why?
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you is because I don't think he gets any contracts with it.
Nope.
From what I've heard, he doesn't get any new wrestlers out of it. But this is, I was thinking, maybe it's wishful thinking, because I've said to you this before that this is what I want, is what if he's working towards making his own AEW or WWE Network style app for all his wrestling content, and he's doing this to buy ROH's back catalog in order to put more content on his network. Can you see that happening?
I can see that if he didn't pay $40 million for it. Here's the thing.
He's Tony Khan. $40 million is nothing.
But you're never going to get your return on investment. Not even close to that. Vince McMahon paid $3 million for WCW. He got that entire 20-year library of stuff everybody wanted to see. Every mainstream fan wanted to see that.
But that was in the 2000s before network streaming was even a thing.
Even but he knew he had plans for it, is what I'm saying. Even adjusting that to inflation, what's that going to be now? $6-7 million?
I'm checking that right now, actually. We'll find out. You said it was $3 million he bought WCW for?
Yes.
But I'm not just talking about inflation. I'm talking about the fact that a library of material in 2000, what was the we bought it for?
2001.
2001. Vince McMahon was thinking, okay, we're going to put out DVDs of this stuff. DVDs are one thing. Now, the value of a back catalog like Ring of Honor has is worth more because listen to me. It's worth more because it's more content to sell subscriptions to your streaming service.
Okay, but what content are you getting? So,
not Russia.
So WCW had the content of it was at the peak of wrestling's popularity when that content was purchased by Vince McMahon. B, you are getting stuff that was released in the peak of wrestling, not only in the 90s, but in the 80s. And WCW, which either a lot of people didn't see or a lot of people were just clamoring to see again. Nitro, Thunder, Saturday Night, all this major stuff from huge, already established stars. What are you getting with Ring of Honor? And I heard they might not be getting the whole library. They might only be getting what Sinclair owns, which I think only goes back to like 2011, 2010. So you've got a lot of stuff that included Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Samoa Joe that they're not even getting. Two, how many of your average mainstream wrestling fans are going to care that much to get a subscription to watch some old Ring of Honor stuff? Like, you know how many subscribers the WWE network even had to get just to break even, or how many DVDs they had to sell of some of this old stuff. So let's say let's do a little basic math here. Let's say you're charging $4.99 or $9.99 for a subscription to whatever network they're going to put together here. How many subscriptions are you going to have to sell to come up with the $40 million that you're paying for that back catalog? A lot of subscriptions. Yeah. I don't think they're going to get their return on that for that, because I don't think there's enough people that are going to care about the old Ring of Honor library. It's a niche market.
Well, here's my argument, and it's cynical, but I'm looking at the way these businesses actually work, these streaming services actually work. It doesn't matter if you say, well, you know, only 5%, 10% of wrestling fans are going to care about the Ring of Honor back catalog. It doesn't matter. It's content. It's something you can put in there. Because think about it now. AEW, how long have they been around? Since 2019?
Yes.
They've got not even 4 years of content. So if you want to charge $10, $15, whatever, for the AEW app, you can say you get all the back catalog of AEW, and then you go on there, you flip through on your TV, on your Roku, and say, oh, there's not much here. Because AEW is still a new company. But they say you get all of the Ring of Honor content. Even if nobody wants to watch it, someone could be flipping through and, oh, look at all this content on here. Now, they might not want to watch it, but it's content. And now, it's cynical to say it doesn't matter what it is, it's there, it's content. That's the big word in entertainment, is content. It doesn't matter. Like, Netflix puts out 700 new Netflix shows and movies a month. Does it matter that nobody watches half of them? Does it matter that half of them suck? It's content. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's quality, it's quantity over quality, and that's not a good thing, but that's the reality.
If I can just interrupt for a second, $3 million in 2001, that'd be worth $4,765,000 today.
So not much more.
So
but didn't they buy WCW when it was like in the toilet?
Yeah.
That's what Ring of Honor is right now, is in the toilet. There's literally nothing there.
Like same with ECW, correct?
They have no contracts. They released everybody. If they're buying, I'm assuming because they're literally buying it from a television distribution network, they're no longer going to have that television distribution network. So it's great to have a streaming plateau. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But right now they have no TV exposure, so that's going to hurt them too. What do their live shows ever draw? Maybe 500 to 3,000 people on a good day. So you're not getting much value there. There wasn't even all that much name recognition other than Jay. And they've got most of the big name talent on their roster already. So I don't know what they're getting.
They've got more than enough talent.
Yes, I agree with you. Content matters. But I think what you pay for it also matters. And I just feel if that's the deal he made, if he would have paid $2-3 million for that, even $5 million, it's a great deal. You got a lot of good stuff to get your streaming network. I'll even equate it to this. If you want to look at something that exists today on the exact same level, how much money is the Impact Network making right now? Because they have the entire history, 20-year history of TNA on there, plus other indie promotions already that they have on that streaming service, and they do stream their live pay-per-views on there. So you have to look at how much money is that actually bringing Impact Wrestling. Is that netting him a return on investment? Now, I think when Fight Network, whoever bought Impact Wrestling, didn't pay close to $40 million for it. And they got an active, I won't say thriving, but still alive promotion that's still putting out content every week and has a large history with it. And they own the entire library. So if they only paid $5-10 million for that, that's even $20 million is a good deal for that. $40 million for Ring of Honor. Hey, if you got the money to burn, go ahead. But
he does.
I think it's dumb. I think the only reason maybe he did it was either A, like you say, they're starting a streaming network, they want content, or B, they just did not want WWE to buy that network up because they knew WWE would probably just wait until the price of that went down and just scooped it up for a couple million. Tony's like, no, I don't want that to happen, so I'm just going to throw whatever money I can to keep Vince McMahon from having it.
Well, I was reading some wrestling news in preparation for talking about this, and there was a story saying that it was according to Dave Meltzer and his sources, which there's a lot of wrestling news where there's unnamed sources. That happens a lot. Rumors are, or there's talks of. But if Dave Meltzer reports it, I guess you can, there's some credibility there that WWE was interested in buying Ring of Honor, and said people at WWE were surprised that AEW snapped it up as quickly as they did. So that makes sense with what you're saying. Like maybe Tony Khan's like, well, I just want to get it before Vince does. That makes sense.
He's got a lot of money, but I will say at one time, Eric Bischoff had access to all the money in the world to keep WCW going, and eventually somebody somewhere said no more.
Yeah.
We're done spending this kind of money. We went from making, 10, 20 million a year to losing 80 million a year. So if they start hemorrhaging money at some point, he's going to have to look at the balance sheet because he's got other businesses going and his dad's got other businesses going. Mm-hmm. Yes, they are super rich, but there comes a time when something starts bleeding so much money that you just got to look at it and go, you know what? It's just not worth it anymore.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm defending Tony Khan, that I think he made a great decision. I was just trying to say that maybe this is why. And from judging by what you said, 40 million is way too much for Ring of Honor. But he's got a lot of money. If they're looking to make some kind of network thing, it makes sense to there's instant content. You pay $40 million, you get a big bulk of stuff. As
a wrestling fan who loves going back and reliving the past because the modern stuff sucks,
yep.
Or even just going and seeing where some of today's stars were in the past, if I didn't have a vast collection of myself already on DVD and streaming or download stuff, I would definitely be interested in grabbing this. I paid for the network until they started screwing us over in Canada and it was too difficult to do. I would have, if I didn't already have all the stuff, I would have paid for Impact Plus. I would be one of those guys. But are there enough people out there like me who would keep that subscription going always?
I don't know. I'd pay for his network because right now, unless you have cable, and I don't have cable, I'm not getting cable, there's no way to watch Dynamite or Rampage live. So if I could pay $10 a month, $12 a month, and just get to watch those live, plus have the back catalog, I think that'd be well worth it.
I'm hoping they do that.
I would love that.
My only concern is, and I don't know if you can watch Impact live on the Impact Network. I think you might, because I know on WWE Network, with the television deal they have to wait a few weeks before posting the new Raw and SmackDowns. So
but AEW, yeah.
So the question is, does AEW have that same deal with TNT and TBS?
They probably do. But even if they put the episodes up a day or two after, that would be okay with me. I just don't like having to torrent their stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's literally the only way I can watch it.
I would think they would at least have the pay-per-views available on there.
Yeah.
Which is for you, which is good. But
you're right. They probably have an exclusivity with TBS. Which sucks, because I'm not even sure if you can get TBS on cable in Canada.
I don't know.
I don't think. I looked into it. Not that I was going to get cable, but I was curious that if you could even watch TBS in Canada, and I don't think you can.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe there's another Canadian affiliate that's kind of that also broadcasts it. I don't know, like TSN.
Well, yeah, because I don't know if they
do
what they used to do with Raw. Like Raw's on, what is it now in the States? USA.
Yeah,
is it on? And it's on Sportsnet over here. So do they have an equivalent for AEW over here? I don't know. I cut cable 3-4 years ago, so I have no idea.
Exactly. So that's that. Before we go into our reviews, I wanted to bring something up, and it's I know it's something we don't care about, but I thought it might be kind of fun. The nominations for the 2022 Oscars are out.
That's still a thing?
It's still a thing, apparently.
They still broadcast the Oscars?
I have no idea.
Now, dude.
But I wanted to play a game. I was going to read off all the nominations and see if any of us have heard of the movies that are nominated.
Now, have you verified that all these movies meet all the check marks that they have to have in order to be nominated? Because now there's a quota of things you have to do in order to get nominated.
I don't know. All the nominees for actor in a leading role are men, so that's kind of problematic.
Oh my God, we have so far to go.
Hollywood's so male. But I'm just going to read off these, and you can tell me. Chime in if you've heard of these movies, okay?
Okay.
Best actor in a leading role. Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos.
Nope.
Yes.
Heard of it.
Wait, was that like the
Lucy and Desi Amazon biopic.
Oh, they're doing streaming movies now.
Yeah, they are.
Oh yeah,
They've
they've been
that a
doing
year or
that for
two
a
ago.
while.
Yeah. Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog.
Nope.
I think I did hear of that actually, but didn't
I
see
have
anything
not.
about it.
Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yes.
Where are you hearing about these movies, Schweitzer? I haven't heard about these.
Mostly social media, which is
well,
terrible.
See, we know you're a social media hound. Bubs and I aren't. This guy has Twitter. Do you know Schweitzer has Twitter?
Really?
I know.
I
Talk about a masochist.
You're one of those.
I'm not proud of it.
Will Smith for King Richard.
Yes. Will Smith, oh my god.
Wait,
he actually won the Golden Globe for Best Actor for this movie.
The Golden Globes are still a thing?
Well, they didn't broadcast them this year, so
okay.
Jade is probably upset about that.
Tell the peasants the truth.
I don't know how to pronounce this name, which is probably a microaggression. Ciarán Hinds for Belfast. Troy Kotsur for Coda. And the other ones are Power of the Dog and Being the Ricardos again. I've never heard of almost any of these movies.
Wait. How many nominees are there for Best Actor?
They do 10 now.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
There's going to be more people in the seats than people.
Oh, no,
watching on TV.
Sorry. That part of those was actor in a supporting role.
Oh, okay.
They do 10
Okay.
for Best Picture.
Yes.
I guess they're doing so. Actress in a leading role, Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which I'm guessing is a Tammy Faye Baker biopic.
I kind of want to watch that.
Haven't heard of it.
Haven't heard of it.
Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter.
Nope.
No.
Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers.
Nope.
Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos.
Yep.
And Kristen Stewart in Spencer. Oh, that's the Princess Diana biopic.
Yes.
Biopics.
Yeah. So, they can't
I've heard of
nominate
that.
comic book movies and reboots, so now they have to nominate
That's
biopics.
all they've got, yeah. Actress in a supporting role, there's a bunch we've already mentioned. Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. Apparently they're remaking West Side Story.
Spielberg did it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh
my.
Hard. Something about they wouldn't put English subtitles in the U.S. theater release. So because there's a lot of Spanish in it, right?
Yeah.
And they said, no, we're not going to do that.
Why wouldn't they put subtitles?
Because they want you to learn Spanish and understand the culture.
You don't do that from watching a single movie.
Right. Most people aren't going to do that, so
That's
is why it
stupid.
bombed. Yeah.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad it bombed.
Yeah.
Best animated feature, Encanto, which I've heard of.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Apparently it's good. I've heard a lot of good things about it. But I'm not going to get Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
I watched some of it while I was down. I was at my best friend's place, and he put it on for his kids. It's like, you know what? This does look interesting.
Flea, never heard of it. Luca,
Yep, I've heard. Oh, I heard of Luca.
She lives on the second floor.
Is that a music reference? Sorry, I'm not as smart as you.
Luca.
Mitchells versus the Machines.
Yep, I've heard of that.
Which one?
The Mitchells versus the Machines.
No.
And Raya and the Last Dragon, which I think I've heard of as well.
I've heard of as well, but I don't know anything about it.
It's better than Rey and the Last Jedi.
I'll skip the directing because I don't care about costume design. Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, which is a song from the 70s, isn't it? Yeah.
60s, Beatles.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, which I haven't heard of, but I like Paul Thomas Anderson, so I might check that out. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. What's Steven Spielberg?
Why didn't they get his Mexican,
You're still Vertigo? Yeah, that's right.
It would have been perfect for that. Racists.
Yeah, I'm surprised they let a white man direct West Side Story.
Oh, could you imagine in the credits he was listening to Senor
Spielberg. That goes at the Oscars with his fake mustache.
Some fan who was like a Simpsons fan who was on the crew had to be constantly referring to him as Senor Spielberg behind his back.
Yeah. And I'm going to skip to Best Picture.
All right. I bet we saw none of them.
Saw none of those. Dune was nominated for a few things, mostly technical stuff, which I do tend to see, but I need to see the David Lynch version first because I've had it on 14.
I kind of want to make sure 100% that they're going ahead with the second one and it's already in production.
Oh, it is.
Okay, because I didn't want to just watch it because I know where it cuts off. I'm like, okay, are we going to get screwed out of a sequel here? Or what?
I think it's probably a good thing to wait for the second one to come out and watch both of them. Yeah. Best Picture is Belfast, Coda, haven't heard of it. Mm-hmm. Don't Look Up, heard of. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, which I remember I watched a movie called Nightmare Alley 6 years ago. It was like a direct-to-DVD horror anthology. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. So I'm guessing it's not that one.
Yeah.
The Power of the Dog and West Side Story. So most of these movies I've mentioned I have not even heard of. Now, maybe it's just because... And, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm on the pulse of the movie industry, but I like to think if big movies come out, I still hear about them. I still, watch a lot of movies, and I haven't heard of most of these things. I guess maybe are they just exclusive to theaters? Because I haven't paid attention to anything in theaters.
It might be some of them are exclusive to theaters, some are on streaming sites we don't see commercials for. I don't have regular TV, so I don't see commercials for stuff anymore. That could be part of it. A lot of stuff wasn't getting released into theaters because of the pandemic, so that could be part of it.
Yeah.
But every year there's always like a handful of movies that you don't hear of until right around Oscar season too. So I don't know, but you would think with the way award shows are dying and people are just getting tired of them and tired of all and everything that comes with an award show these days, that nobody's watching these damn things. You'd think they would spice up the pot a little bit with some stuff that you heard of, and they're not doing it. It's a way for Hollywood to just blow themselves. So have at it.
That's why they added 10 categories back in 2009, I think, or the year afterwards, because everybody thought that one of the nominees for Best Picture in 2008 should have been The Dark Knight, because it made a lot of money and it was critically acclaimed and had a great performance by Heath Ledger, but it wasn't nominated, and there was a bit of outrage and disappointment, and they said, all right, well, we're going to expand, give more movies a chance to compete for Best Picture. But the thing is, all you get are more movies that nobody has heard of or nobody cares for that much.
Yeah.
But to be fair, this year, or last year, I should say, in 2021, were there any movies that you guys saw that you thought, wow, this could win an Oscar?
No, I barely remember what came out last year.
No.
I saw a lot of stuff that came out last year, but it was all streaming. It was all like Netflix or Shudder or Amazon Prime, or movies that just got very limited theatrical runs and then made it onto DVD or Blu-ray, I mean. So, the only movie I saw last year in the theater was No Time to Die. And it was nominated for a couple technical Oscars, I think. But now, to be fair, a lot of Oscar, quote-unquote, Oscar baity type movies don't usually interest me that much. But I remember in, 2019, I think it was, where I watched, out of all the Best Picture nominees, I watched, 9 of them. So I was, really interested in seeing those movies that year. That was when the nominations were The Nightingale and Peanut Butter Falcon and Parasite and stuff like that.
Oh,
but this year,
Parasite.
This year I just couldn't care less.
On a side note, apparently No Time to Die was one of the highest grossing movies last year.
Yes.
I was researching this before the podcast, and I think it was number 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And the first 5 were all comic book movies. It was Spider-Man.
Oh, Fast and Furious was one of them.
Fast and Furious was number 5 or 6. But the first one I think was Spider-Man.
No Way Home, yeah.
No Way Home. I can never remember because there's No Way Home and Homecoming.
Far From Home.
I
know, come on.
Just number them.
Why are you so obsessed with fucking home already? Jesus.
And then
it's
Black
a
Widow.
theme. It's a theme.
Black Widow was in there, and Shang-Chi was in there, which I saw, and it's fucking abysmal, by the way.
I got the list right here, if you'd like.
Okay.
Sure.
10 to 1 or 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
Number 1, Spider-Man, No Way Home. Number 2, The Battle at Lake Changjin.
Chinese movie.
Yeah.
Which are really picking up steam on the worldwide gross market now.
Well, of course. I mean, The Mermaid was the highest grossing film of 2017, and nobody in North America has seen it.
Yeah.
Third film, also a Chinese movie called Hi Mom.
Okay, you're reading a different list than I did. I must have wrote.
I saw Box Office Mojo's list.
Yeah, but I did too. But I must have been looking at the domestic.
This is worldwide gross.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Number 4, No Time to Die. Number 5.
So worldwide, it did better than domestic.
Oh yeah, it made something like 700 million worldwide, which is pretty good.
Oh yeah. Number 5, Fast and Furious 9. Number 6, Detective Chinatown 3.
It's all these Chinese movies.
Hey, that just shows how strong the market is right now.
Yeah. Number 7, Venom Let There Be Carnage. Number 8, China's getting their butt kicked now. Oh wait, no, this is lower. So Godzilla versus King Kong. Number 9, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And number 10, Eternals.
Oh yeah, Eternals.
How far down the list did that Matrix movie?
Oh God, it's not even there.
Well, it was released directly onto streaming. I think it was in the theaters as well, but it was simultaneously on streaming, so that probably cut the
It did. Plus, it came out against Spider-Man, which just is still making money in the theaters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man movies. I have a couple of them on
really?
4K, and I haven't watched
liked
them
the first one. The second one I didn't care for very much.
You know how we often talk about like the worst Marvel movie, and all we ever say is like Thor 2?
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a million times worse than Thor 2. I was kind of shanghaied, pardon the pun, into watching it by a girl, and I just didn't want to tell her no. No, unfortunately. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch it, whatever. And I was like writhing in my chair halfway through because I was cringing at literally fucking every line of dialogue. It was so bad. I can't even tell you how bad it was. Every single line of dialogue is the quippy Marvel punchline. Every single one. And it's not funny.
The only one has ruined a generation of writers.
Yeah, not just movies, but for like fucking everything.
The only one that's come out since Endgame that I have any curiosity in is the newer Spider-Man movie, and that's only because they're doing the 3 Spider. I'm just curious to see how they do it. I don't have any interest
I'd be curious for that one too. I
don't have any interest in Black Widow, Shang-Chi, the Eternals look stupid. What else has there been since then?
Black Widow.
Yeah, but not much because
bunch of TV shows.
I don't care about any of those.
Yeah.
I did watch Scarlet Witch, and I thought it was. And I saw a thing the other day. It's like, has anybody watched Scarlet Witch at all?
You mean WandaVision?
TV show?
Yeah, or Wanda. Yeah, the TV show WandaVision. Yeah. Did you watch it all, Schweitzer?
I did not. I have no interest in those. Unfortunately.
Okay, I'll just summarize it like this. So there was a poll asking whether or not she's now a hero or a villain, and like, how is this a question? She literally kidnapped and mind raped the whole town. How are you a hero doing this?
Because it was trauma.
How the show ended is that was the whole premise of the show. She kidnapped the whole town and basically mind raped them all.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'll take your word for it.
Don't watch it. It was dumb. I mean, it was a neat concept at the beginning, but then it's like, okay, that's where you're going with this. It's like, whatever. This is what Marvel is now. I need to done with it.
So unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about, maybe we can get into our review of The Kingsman.
Baseball season's delayed because of a stupid work stoppage, so I'm pissed about that. So there goes my spring.
Who's stopping working?
Players? They can't come to a collective bargaining agreement, so the owners lock them out.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So no baseball for a while then?
Nope.
Oh, well.
I'm bummed.
So, The Kingsman is the third movie in the Kingsman franchise. I don't like the way they named this movie.
No.
It's a little annoying.
Very confusing.
Very confusing. But it's actually a prequel. Takes place in, I think, World War I, whereas the movies, the other two, take place in modern day. And it's directed by Matthew Vaughn, who directed the other two movies, and stars Ralph Fiennes and Charles Dance is in it from Game of Thrones. There's a few people in it. But yeah, it was billed as kind of the origin story of the Kingsmen, which is the secret spy organization from the other two movies. But I found that it really wasn't about that for the most part. I guess I'll just get into my opinion of it. I thought it was very misleading because the last 5 minutes was about forming the Kingsmen organization, and there was very little in it having to do with spy stuff or the whole concept of the gentleman spy or the civilized spy, like was the main theme of the first two movies. It's basically a World War I drama action movie. And then at the end, they're like, oh, yeah, we got to tie this into a franchise. And they put a scene in. It's like, we are forming the Kingsmen now. And that was it. And the movie felt really detached from the series and very aimless. And the tone was kind of all over the place. Bubs, you're kind of nodding your head next to me. Do you agree with me? What do you think here?
Well, I do, but I thought the way I perceived it was I thought the Kingsmen were kind of already formed because they already had the tailor shop, they already had the secret room, they already had their little network of spies. They had all this stuff. So to me, it felt, other than them giving it an official title at the end, it felt like, okay, the Kingsmen are pretty much already formed. They've already got everything laid out. So we're not really getting an origin story. We're just kind of basically seeing how one character kind of came about to be in the Kingsmen and the stuff that went on with his song or his son and the shit during World War I. So I never got any real origin story out of it at all.
Well, the group wasn't formed at the beginning. The Kingsmen was just kind of it wasn't at the beginning of the movie. The tailoring shop existed, but it wasn't meant as like a secret spy base. It was just kind of where Ralph Fiennes' character and like Charles Dance's character, the general, they kind of met secretly. It was not, they were just, Charles Dance is just a general in the army, and Ralph Fiennes is just a Red Cross humanitarian, and they just met there because they were old friends, and that's where they kind of, talk, and that became the secret organization, but the secret room was just one of the dressing rooms.
Okay, yeah.
So it was just kind of, it started out as just their like special place, and then kind of morphed into this is where we'll have our secret spy organization at the end. But like the first, sorry, Schweitzer. What are your general thoughts?
I wasn't able to see this movie just because I was too busy working. So you're not doing much to get me excited about. Oh, gee, I missed out, but maybe I'll catch it one day. It's like, oh, okay. Well then.
I thought you watched it, but I guess
no. I'm sorry.
The plot form real quick if you want.
Yeah, well, so Ray Fine. I should have had the IMDb page open, but my phone is currently recording right now. But anyway, don't worry about it. Ray Fiennes' character is a humanitarian for the Red Cross during World War I, and during a mission to, I can't remember where, somewhere in Africa, they come under attack, and his wife is killed in front of him and his son, and his wife's last words to him are, protect our son, make sure no harm comes to him, or whatever.
Even though she brings her kid, he brings his wife and kid into the middle of a war
zone. Yeah.
Sitting in an open car, unprotected, unguarded.
That's true. But anyway, so that kind of starts off the first third of the movie, which is basically World War II is starting, or World War I, is starting to break out, and his son really wants to fight. He's very patriotic. He wants to do his part, but because of what his wife said, Ray Fiennes' character doesn't want him to fight, and literally the whole first third of the movie is his son saying, I want to go fight. No, I won't let you fight. I'm going to go fight anyway. Well, I'll get Charles Dance to prevent you from joining. Well, I'll find a way to join the fight. That's literally the first third. It just goes back and forth like this all the time. Yeah. And then we find out that there's this secret evil organization, this kind of Spectre, Smersh type organization of real life historical characters. And I thought this was an interesting premise. Is that your phone? No. Okay. What was I going to say before Bubs made noises at me?
Organization.
There's a secret organization, and it's led by a guy named the Shepherd, and it has a bunch of actual real life characters as like the spy henchmen. You've got like Rasputin, and you've got the Matahari, and I think Lenin.
The Kaiser.
Yeah, Kaiser Wilhelm.
Yeah.
I think. And Lenin, I think, is in there. So I thought that was kind of an interesting aspect. Is kind of like a Inglourious Basterds type alternate history thing. Like, what if these these historical figures are part of this spy this like evil
Well, they said they were all
organization.
related. They were all like cousins or something too. All the leaders of all the major powers.
No, well, there's the three leaders of Russia, Britain, and
Germany.
was it Germany or Austria? I think it was Austria.
Same.
Austria. They were cousins.
Right.
The people in the evil organization were.
Okay.
But anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting, like, Inglourious Bastards type alternate history thing.
Yeah, I like that.
That was kind of cool.
They were true to form on a lot of stuff too. Like,
yeah, although I have a problem with their depiction of Rasputin,
yes,
but I'll get into that. So, and then they get wind of this evil organization that's kind of pulling strings behind the scenes to start World War I guess. And they've realized that Rasputin is kind of in the Tsar Nicholas III, I think, his ear to escalate the war, and they decide, well, what we have to do is go over and we have to find Rasputin and kill him. And that leads to, I think, the best part of the movie is their kind of spy mission to kill Rasputin. They go over to Russia and they pose as, I don't know, some sort of British nobleman or something like that, and to try to assassinate him. And this leads to a really cool fight scene between Ralph Fiennes' character and Rasputin, played by Rhys Ifans, who I wish I could remember the role he's known for. You've definitely seen him in something. Where this was like the only scene in the movie that felt like a scene that should be in a Kingsman movie, because it was a very heightened, stylized fight scene with lots of lots of angled shots, lots of shots from above, lots of slow motion, like speed ramping
it reminded
stuff.
me of the church scene in the first movie.
I agree. Or the last fight scene in the second one, where you're at Julianne Moore's compound. You got remember Elton John was fighting like henchmen and stuff, which is I love the second one.
That's what I think makes these movies intriguing. Is these villains are almost like cartoon characters.
They are.
Like you had Sam Jackson in the first one,
yeah.
And then you had, like you say, the
Julianne Moore, who's just chewing scenery left and right. But it's super fun, and and it fits the tone of those movies, whereas the tone of this movie is very dark and dreary and dour, whereas this fight scene, which felt like something out of a Kingsman movie, stuck out because the movie is basically a somewhat droll, somewhat dour World War I drama. Mm-hmm. So it's like suddenly you take this Kingsman fight scene and plop it in here. It's like, oh, this is a completely different tone. It feels weird now. But I actually like that. That fight scene is like my favorite part of the movie.
That's what I was looking forward to.
Yeah, more of that.
When I watch a Kingsman movie, that's kind of the stuff I want to see, the fun stuff. Like in the scene in the first one with the fight scene in the bar where he's like flinging the pint of beer at somebody.
He's Colin Firth's got his like umbrella and he like hooks a glass of beer and whips it at a guy's head.
That's the cool shit I want to see.
And then takes like a chair and like flips it around and then throws a guy across the room.
I was waiting for something like that to happen in the World War I scene.
Yeah.
Where his son's off in the trenches and he's doing like cool shit like that. And he's got a little bit of Kingsman in him. You see some of that ordering in the trenches. Like, we got none of that. It was a serious horse scene.
And you get a little bit of that in the Rasputin scene, which is why I like it.
Yeah.
My big problem with the character of Rasputin, I thought he was... Now, there's only two things I know about the real-life Rasputin. And I don't know much about history, but I know he was an infamous... He was like an infamous lover. He was known for being like... I think I heard this recently on a podcast. I think it might have been Rogan or something. That his penis is actually preserved in Russia. Because he was such like this notorious like great lover, and he slept with all the politicians' wives and stuff, and they like preserved his cock. He was such a that was the big thing, and they played that up. He was like this hypersexual character. He was like he was like making out with women at the dinner table and like hitting on everybody, including Ralph Fiennes and Ralph Fiennes' son right in front of him. So they nailed that. But the other part. Probably the thing most people know about Rasputin, he was notoriously hard to kill.
Yeah.
That was the thing, is there were so many assassination attempts against him, and he wouldn't die. I think he was shot. He was poisoned. I think they tried to drown him at one point. He was like they tried to beat him to death. He was stabbed. Like, that's the big legend that there were so many assassination attempts. He wouldn't
thought he was
die.
almost immortal.
They thought he had like magic powers or something.
He was a brutal, tyrannical
Yeah.
figure. Like, he would just mutilate people and just brutalize them too.
And that's what they said in the movie. Like they almost portrayed him as like having some kind of supernatural power over the Tsar of Russia, because that was the legend around him. He's like, he must be some sort of like demon possessed, or have some sort of magic, because he won't die. So when in the movie, after the fight scene, when they shot him in the head, I was like, okay, well, he's Rasputin. He's good. That's not going to kill him. He's going to come back later, right? Because that's the big thing about him is you can't kill the guy. He never comes back. They kill him in that scene, and like that's the one thing people know about that character. You think he would have come back later?
He came back once when they put him under the ice for a little bit.
Yeah, well, they drowned him for like 10 seconds.
That was it. Yeah, that was the only thing they did.
I thought he was going to come back later and be like, I'm not so easy to kill, Ralph Fiennes, or whatever his name. I wish I remembered his name.
So if you want the true history of Rasputin, listen to the Boney M song.
Okay.
Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen.
I'll have to listen to
that.
that.
It's a 70s disco song.
Okay. But yeah, I thought that was a huge missed opportunity with his character. And then the other historical characters, they don't really do a whole lot with. The Mata Hari was in like a couple scenes, and I didn't know much about her. I knew she was like, they thought she was a German spy during World War II, and she had an affair. They thought she had an affair, or she did have an affair with, I don't think it was the president of the U.S. like it was in the movie, but it was with some politician. She didn't have much to do. Lenin didn't have a lot to do. Like this idea of alternate history of all these famous historical figures, it's a cool idea. I like that they did it, but they didn't really go far enough with it.
No.
Or at least maybe like tease it for another movie. Like, so the movie goes through. Ralph Fiennes' son eventually does go in the war. He sort of poses as somebody else to sneak in under another name. So he goes off to war, and they have this pretty decent scene where this German spy is trying to cross the firing line into Allied territory and gets blown up, and they do this midnight mission where they're trying to sneak across the field to get the information that he dropped, and they're trying to be quiet so they don't wake the other side up, and then they come into contact with a group from the German side who's doing the same thing. And the only thing I heard about this movie beforehand is people saying you have to watch the silent knife fight. I heard a few people say like the silent knife fight is awesome. I thought it was kind of lame and boring. Like the gimmick of it is they're having like this close quarters combat knife fight in the dark on a battlefield, and they're being completely silent because they don't want to wake the other side up. And there's almost no music to it. It's almost complete silence, and I wasn't impressed at all. Really.
Plus, if you'd watched the movie, was it 1916? They did it better.
1917?
17, yeah. The one that came out a couple years ago.
I didn't see that.
I did watch that, and it was way better.
Yeah. I don't know, I thought that was a missed opportunity. And then Ralph Fiennes' son is the only survivor, and he gets the German intelligence, and the German spy, or the Allied spy is still alive. And there's this really, really cool scene. It looks cool, and it's actually kind of got me pumped. He's like got him on his back, and he's running across the battlefield and dodging bullets, and it's done in kind of slow motion, and it looks really cool. And this is where we'll get into spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it and plans to. One of the soldiers at the Allied camp finds out that he's not who he says he is because he lied about his identity to get into the army, and he immediately accuses him of being a German spy and shoots him in the head and kills him. And this is our main character. Like up until now, I mean, Ralph Fiennes has been a major character, but his son was really the central focus of the movie, and he dies halfway through. And that actually really shocked me.
Yeah.
That scene where they killed him, I was genuinely shocked. So that was very effective. It was a good twist, I would say. And then that's about halfway through the movie. And then for the next half hour or so, it's a lot of Ralph Fiennes moping around, scenes of, that's all I remember after that is just a lot of Ralph Fiennes moping. And then after that, before the last mission of the movie, one of the founding members of the Kingsmen, she's like a spy for Ralph Fiennes. She comes in and gives him this speech of the basic, you got to stop mourning your son. He died a hero, and you should be proud of him. He wouldn't want you to be like this. And then, okay, I'm going to go be a hero now. And it was very cliche, but at least it kicked off the last third of the movie, which was a pretty decent scene, I think. It's where they somehow find, through a very convoluted way of analyzing fibers in a scarf, which is stupid. They find out where the Shepherd's secret base is, and him and the two other spies that he's working with throughout the movie, they find his secret lair, and they make the plan to invade it and to kill the Shepherd and, stop World War I from escalating or whatever. And that was like the last third of the movie, and I thought that was pretty decent. I liked that whole infiltration scene. There's a lot of pretty cool fights, like a lot of cool hand-to-hand stuff. That's where they do more of the Kingsman style fighting of like jumping around and like the speed ramping and creative use of environment with their fighting. I thought that was pretty decent. I like that. And then they come to one of the biggest wet fish of the movie, where they finally reveal who the Shepherd is, because throughout the movie you just see him like in shadow. You see the back of his head. He's talking with this like exaggerated Scottish accent to all his henchmen or whatever. And you know that, okay, it's gonna be a big twist. They're gonna reveal who he is, and I'll be shocked and go, oh my God, it was him all along. Turns out it was like a minor character that you'd seen in a few scenes that really had nothing to do with anything. It's like, it was that guy. It was Charles Dance's right-hand man, his assistant, basically. And it's like, I was under your nose the whole time. I was there the whole time. And I was like, okay. Like, it was that. It was me, Austin. It was,
son of a bitch.
Would have been way better.
Like, I don't know. I'm not going to suggest who it should have been, because I really think the point of him being a character we had seen before, like, was totally unnecessary. And the fact that, it's this guy who this other inconsequential character that, we thought was a good guy, but he was a bad guy. It reminded me of, I can't remember the name of the movie. It was one of those, I think it was called The Bone Collector. It was like Ashley Judd and Denzel Washington, I think. And it's like this murder mystery, this like thriller. Have you seen that movie, Schweitzer?
I've heard of it. Oddly enough, I was going through my old comics, and I saw like one of those advertisements for it.
Well, it reminded me of that movie where they're hunting this serial killer. At the end, there's the big twist, and it turns out it was the orderly in the hotel in the hospital scene an hour ago, and it's like, okay. Or
like half the Marvel movies where the villain is somebody that Tony Stark was either mean to or ignored.
Yes.
But it's like this big reveal that it was this minor character all along. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and
so what?
Yeah.
If it was like Ralph Fiennes' son, that would have been like, oh my God, it was him the whole time, and then they
or his wife or something.
Or his wife, or like a character that was consequential to the plot.
Yeah.
Great, but it was like that guy.
And he was just uninteresting. I mean, you compare him to the villains of the first two movies, like, oh, God, this is boring. I don't care.
And I can't even remember what his motivation was. Like, his something about his parent. It was his parents were either killed or their property was taken by the British, like, during the British occupation of Scotland.
Yeah, because Scotland was
long time ago.
The UK's bitch for centuries.
And it was like, here's my revenge against the British or whatever. It's like, okay. So it felt so lame.
Yeah.
It felt so lame to the point where it would have been better if they just not had a reveal. And it was like, maybe they could have done like a joke where like, it's like, aha, it was me all along. And Ray Fiennes goes like, sorry, who are you?
Yeah.
And then he's like, we met like 10 years ago at the bar in London. It's like, oh, sorry, old chap, I don't recall. And then they start fighting.
Yeah.
They reveal that it was somebody, and then Ray Fiennes doesn't even recognize him. That could have been funny. In a Kingsman movie, that's like something they would do. But this movie felt like a movie, a generic World War I drama that they repurposed into a Kingsman movie. Because it really had very few hallmarks of that series, and it did not have the tone of it. Those movies, I hesitate to call them James Bond parodies, but they're certainly parodying, or at least making fun in a heightened way of spy movies and spy fiction, and
without it being
like
as
that.
silly as Austin Powers was.
It's not as jokey as Austin Powers, but it's almost there.
Yeah.
Like they've got the gadgets and the goofy fight scenes and lots of comedy and stuff, but not quite Austin Powers level.
I would say it is to James Bond movies what Shaun of the Dead was to zombie movies.
Yeah, that's a good comparison, because Shaun of the Dead, not only is it a kind of a parody of zombie movies, but it's also a good zombie movie. Mm-hmm. Kingsmen is a parody of spy movies, but it's also a good spy action movie. So that's a really good comparison. And this movie, like, maybe they could have done a thing where if they wanted to make it a World War I drama, they make it a parody of war movies, or at least kind of heighten the elements of a war movie in the same way that they heighten the tropes of the spy movie genre. But really, most of it is just kind of dull. And I don't want to say it's boring. I don't think I was ever bored, but I was never really invested in it. I was never, like, on the edge of my seat, like, laughing and jazzed up for fight scenes. Because, like, I remember scenes from the first two Kingsman movies, and, like, there's scenes where I'm, like, watching it and I'm laughing, and then, like, some amazing fight thing happens. I'm like, yeah, oh, man, that's awesome. Or, like, there's some crazy stunt, and I'm like, I'm really into them. They're really energizing, fun movies. And this one's, I'm just kind of sitting there the whole time like, oh, yeah, it's fucking
figure out the
horror movie.
Yeah.
And then at the end, just to remind you that it's a Kingsman movie, they gather up Ray Fiennes and the couple spies that have been working for them the whole time, and it's like, we need, it's clear that we need people behind the scenes that are not controlled by the government and that are work for the good of the world without being bought and paid for. That's why we will be the Kingsmen. And they do the thing where they all get like their King Arthur names, like they had, and there's Galahad and Bedivere and Lancelot and all that. And that's like the last 5 minutes of the movie, and then it ends with like a shot of the Kingsman tailoring shop. But nothing up till that point felt like we are forming the team here, because it's they should have had that earlier in the movie where they're like, there's this evil organization doing stuff. We need to form our own organization with different specialties and different, diverse skill sets and different people from different countries who speak different languages, to sort of combine our powers behind the scenes to take this out. But they do that in the last 2 minutes. They need to do that earlier. It kind of blew my mind watching this, because especially since it's written, I'm not 100% sure if it's written. I think it is, but it's certainly directed by Matthew Vaughn, who directed the first two. And it was like baffling to me, all the missed opportunities and how it's like he didn't understand his own franchise. It really felt to me, it reminded me of Die Hard, how every movie after Die Hard 1 was a different script that was repurposed into a Die Hard movie. I think every single Die Hard movie after the first one was written as something else. And then they're like, oh, we'll make this into a Die Hard movie. It'll make more money. That's really what this felt like to me. I thought it was like, generic World War I drama. And, remember that Kingsman franchise from a few years back? Let's make it into that. It'll make more money. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. I was very disappointed by this. I think I gave it a 2 out of 5. There were some good ideas. I thought the movie looked pretty good, especially the scenes in Russia during the Rasputin part where they're in like this unbelievably beautiful Russian embassy with like the gold inlay on the walls and like the beautiful antique furniture, and like even the war shots of like the battlefield scenes were shot really well. The mansion, the scene in Africa, I think was shot really well, looked good, and I think some of the performances were good. I like Ray Fiennes a lot, so Ray Fiennes was good in it. The guy who played his son, I looked him up, and I don't want to say a new actor, he's been in stuff, but kind of a guy you wouldn't recognize from anything yet. I thought he was really good in it. I liked him a lot. So some good performances and some decent fight scenes, but just really disappointing, like a really missed opportunity.
Yeah, I'd say the strength was definitely like the set pieces, the acting for sure. I like that they incorporated a lot of elements from real life history. I kind of wish they would have amped up those characters a little more, made them a little more interesting, more, I don't want to say cartoony, but more outlandish. And to me, the biggest weakness, I think, was the lack of fun in the movie,
Yeah.
and the lack of the purpose of the main villain. Because, like you say, it came off like a wet fart, basically. Like, who is this guy? We don't really know much about him. He wasn't, even in the scenes, them sitting around the table and doing stuff, he wasn't really doing a whole lot. He wasn't, like you say, chewing up the scenery like Julianne Moore or Sam Jackson, where he was just kind of there.
It's kind of like, you will do my bidding and you will not fail me. He's like
Yeah.
a fucking Dr. Claw.
So we didn't learn anything about him. He didn't do anything cool. He didn't brutalize anybody too. I think maybe he killed one guy, but nothing all that memorable. There was no real.
You didn't hate him.
No.
They didn't do anything to like sell how. You know, you want a villain where if he's just going to be pure 100% evil, you want to see him doing pretty evil stuff. So like, oh, this guy's fucking disgusting. But
He's
no,
diabolical. It's like,
he didn't even do anything that smart.
No.
And like when they sent his assassin out to assassinate Tsar Nicholas, he basically just says, "Go out and kill him." He doesn't tell him how. He doesn't say, "I've set up this thing for you to do. This is my plan." He basically just said, like, "Go kill the guy."
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the leader that you're pledging your life to? And then after he fails his first assassination attempt, the assassin's going to kill himself because, you know, oh, the shepherd, he's so evil and so brutal. Like, oh, I failed him. I'm going to have to kill myself. I never got that from his character. He just seemed like kind of a dick.
And didn't one guy even give a second chance to go kill somebody again?
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but he came back and said, like, "I'm sorry, I failed." And then he, like, I don't know, he punched him or shot him or something, but he's like, "I believe in second chances" or something. Like, oh, that's pretty generous of you, actually.
You're not that evil after all.
Yeah. But no, I would have loved it. It would have been a great subversion of expectations for a comedy moment if during that reveal, he revealed himself. He was like, because he does that shot where he, like, walks out of the shadow and you see his face. And he's like, "Did you expect to see me?" And it would have been so funny if Ray Fiennes was like, "No, sorry, his face doesn't ring a bell." It's like, "Oh, remember we went to school together in Oxford." It's like, "Oh, sorry. I guess you didn't make much of an impression on me." And then they start to fight. That would have been so funny. Because they were really hamming up that reveal. They were really leaning into that reveal. And then it was such a disappointment. But
yeah, so I won't say I dislike the movie. I just say out of the three, it's definitely the weakest. It's
very much
not
the weakest.
memorable.
Also, if you're a fan of the first two Kingsmen, there's no reason to see this movie.
Not really.
It doesn't enhance the other two. It doesn't give you any kind of insight into the other two.
It doesn't answer a lot of questions.
It doesn't answer any questions. It's just nothing. You don't need to watch it.
Yeah. If you're bored, watch it.
An unnecessary expansion pack, basically.
Yeah, I guess so. And you know what? I don't know if this movie did well in the theaters. I kind of hope it did, just because I want more Kingsman movies, but I want more in the style of the first two.
Did you see the post-credit scene with they introduced Hitler?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
I don't even remember what the context of it. I just remember that the real is, "Oh, I'm Adolf Hitler." I forget the whole context of it.
Okay, that's pretty fun.
So they are teasing a sequel to that movie as opposed to a sequel to the original two. So
that could be cool if they're going to play it more like the first two.
Yeah.
And we're making a joke out of Hitler, and we're making like he's like a heightened I don't want to say stereotype. Hitler's not a stereotype, but like a parody of Hitler.
More
that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But more of the tone of the first two, please. I don't want to lose hope on the series because like this is one of the few modern movie series that I've actually really liked. Like I really like the first two. So I want this to continue just more like the first two. This one was a huge disappointment. So that's the Kingsman. Not really a recommend from Bubs or I. It's not the worst movie ever, but it's very unnecessary. I've got a couple movies I want to talk about, but first, Schweitzer, have you seen anything you want to talk about lately?
I was planning to see the Batman this coming Sunday, but nothing. Yeah. I have been watching a lot of TV recently. Been doing a lot of work, unfortunately, but I know that you got something that you're going to be watching really soon.
Are we going to get into this already?
But hey, come on! I gotta have my moments. I can't be the whipping boy all the time. How many lights do you see?
Tonight of all nights, not the night you're hearing this, but the night we're recording this is the premiere of season 2 of Star Trek Picard. And unfortunately, due to certain circumstances, which I guess we should recap for people who may have missed it.
Yes.
Oh God, I'm laughing just thinking about
Season 1 of Picard. I don't think I watched the first 4 episodes and I noped out. I could not handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the whole thing, Buzz?
I watched the whole thing.
And Schweitzer, did you?
I watched the first 3 episodes.
Okay. So it's safe to say it was absolute garbage, and I couldn't even make it past 4 episodes. And then I had to open my big mouth, and during the 2020 election, I really thought, and I'm going to defend myself in this in a second, I thought that, apropos of nothing, Donald Trump was going to be a guest on the Joe Rogan podcast. I thought this was really going to happen. And I told Schweitzer, I said, I bet you Donald Trump's going to be on Joe Rogan. And Schweitzer was not having it. He said, no, it's not going to happen. And then I felt indignant and that I was confident that it was going to happen. So I made him a bet. I said that I think it was if Donald Trump is on the Joe Rogan podcast before the end of the year, that I would watch Star Trek Picard and review it for the show. And
I think the bet was actually, but if it was before the election.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was before the election. And if he wasn't, then no. If he was on the show, then Schweitzer would have to watch Picard. If he wasn't, then I would have to watch it. And unfortunately, Donald Trump was never on the Joe Rogan Experience. However, I do want to get partial credit because Joe Rogan did reveal that the Trump administration was in contact with him, and I'm serious. And Donald Trump wanted to be on the podcast. He wanted to do a debate with Joe Biden, but the Biden administration never contacted him, never agreed to it. But Trump did want to be on the show.
I'm just trying to imagine that phone call. But you know what? Chances are Trump also heard about our bet, and that was why he did. I love Schweitzer. Great guy, great podcaster. I didn't like Picard. I'm not a big fan of Patrick Stewart. I like Avery Brooks. I like the captain who can get things done. And I don't like Recker. So yeah, that's probably how it happened.
Fucking hubris.
Yeah,
exactly.
You were hoisted by your own Picard.
Yeah. So if there's any reason to hate Joe Biden, it's really because he made me watch Star Trek Picard. I don't care what he does in politics. I hate the guy because I have to watch Star Trek Picard now. However, I'm going to try to at least make it interesting for the show and maybe.
Drunk, aren't you?
What?
You're going to watch it drunk.
Yeah. I might have to be. I'm going to at least try to make it interesting for the show, or at least maybe kind of interesting for me to dull the pain a little bit. I've come up with a few predictions based on trailers and interviews I've seen. I wanted to at least, because at least I can watch the episodes and try to see like what I guessed right. That might make it somewhat bearable. I didn't have a lot of predictions because after watching the trailers for the show and interviews and like stuff about the plot, there's not a lot of info. I really came to the conclusion that I just don't fucking care. There's also not a lot of information, but I have a few predictions. We know that Guinan is going to be in it. She's in one of the trailers.
Yeah. She'll go off about the Jews.
No, but she did insist that the Bajoran occupation wasn't about race. Anyway, Guinan, my prediction is that Guinan will only be in 1 or 2 episodes and will do all of her scenes sitting down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because she's Whoopi Goldberg is old enough and fat enough that I think she's in the position where she's not going to do much movement.
Right.
She's going to do the Steven Seagal performance where all of her scenes are done sitting down, or the Cameron Mitchell performance. Now we know that part of the plot is going to be Picard is sent back in time, at least that's what it seems to be, into a version of the past where the world or the country or whatever, or the Federation, I don't know, we don't know yet, is controlled by some sort of fascistic, Nazi-esque force. Because we see scenes of Picard like standing in front of a flag, like it's black and red. It's got some symbol on it. It's clearly meant to evoke Nazi imagery. So that's kind of the plot. My prediction is there will be a Trump surrogate who is racist, xenophobic, and potentially started the Federation. I think, and maybe that's where they're going to go, because there was an interview with one of the show writers, Terry Matalis, and he said that in this season, Picard is going to have to struggle with his own history and have to deal with the problems of his past, or what he says. So I'm thinking either one of two ways. Either he's going to go back in time and have to defeat this obvious Trump surrogate who's he's a dictator basically, and he's probably racist and xenophobic and hates everybody, and he wants the Federation or the world or whatever to be, a militaristic space force and conquer the galaxy or whatever. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Or Picard, because he specifically said that he was going to have to struggle with his own history. So either that, or Picard is going to have to confront an ancestor of his. And and that immediately makes me think of the episode Journey's End.
Yes, where I was thinking the same thing.
Where it's revealed that where Picard had an ancestor that was a conquistador or something like that, who was involved in enslaving some kind of native people or whatever. But that would assume that the writers of this show have seen Star Trek The Next Generation. So I'm not as confident on that one, because I'm sure Alex Kurtzman and Terry Matalis and everyone else in writing it, they probably don't remember Journey's End. They don't remember that part of that episode. So maybe that's not going to be it. I really think it's just going to be a lazy Trump analogy.
Well, here's the thing. You could kind of get away with doing the Earth or whatever being taken over by a brutal dictator or a fascist power if you incorporate the Khan storyline into it. Because if you remember the eugenics war, that Khan and his followers had all but conquered all of Earth, and they were
true
genetic Superman, and so they would kind of be that racial fascist dictator. If you incorporate that element in, and he goes back to the eugenics war, but then you have to incorporate Khan into it, then you could get away with it. But that also, I think, was all done by the 21st century, though, because I think the original timeline was all over and done by 1996.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you have to factor in, okay, where did the Bell riots take place?
I wanted to bring that up.
The Bell riots took place in 2024.
Okay.
Oh, so that was pretty early. Because I was going to bring that. I didn't think of the eugenics wars, but I had considered if this was going to play into the Bell riots. Mm-hmm. But again, then we have to assume that the people writing the show have watched Deep Space Nine, and I'm not confident in that. But if Schweitzer's right, that's in the 2024 or whatever, that's probably way too early for...
unless they say a politician not using his name in the show, but like Donald Trump was the cause of society going to that point where they have the sanctuary districts and things like that. Yeah. So you could say, it was a certain politician's policies and racial things and blah, blah, blah that started the sanctuary zones and turned them into a place where they stuck all the poor and the immigrants.
I did consider that. I don't know what that period is called. I just call it the Bell riots, because that's the one thing we know.
Yeah.
I also I realized that through one of the trailers, this is basically all taking place in, I think it's Los Angeles, because in one of the shots, and this is a real groaner moment, it's in the trailers, they show a scene before Picard goes to see Guinan. Guinan is, her bar on Earth or whatever is on number 10 Forward Avenue. Oh, God. Yeah, which is a huge fucking groaner. But on that sign that says Forward Ave, it says LA County something. So it takes place in Los Angeles, which I'm sure it's not, because it's easy to film there.
Yeah.
But, and to give them credit, Starfleet headquarters is in San Diego, I believe.
I thought it was San Francisco.
It was San Francisco. It's in San Francisco, so it makes sense that this would take place in LA, but I really think it's just because now, and this was also filmed during COVID, so it's not easy to travel. Mm-hmm. So I'll cut them some slack that it takes place in LA for that. But, I don't think this is going to happen, but it would be kind of neat since if this is taking place, depending on what period this is taking place in the past, if there is some kind of reference to Ed Begley Jr.'s character from that 2-part Voyager episode.
Oh, yeah.
That all takes place in L.A.
Yeah.
I can't remember his character's name, but he was like this big corporate, like Steve Jobs kind of Bill Gates style megalomaniac. So maybe if he plays a part in this, that would be kind of cool.
So there's a lot of elements that can be cool and you can tie together.
Yeah.
But are the writers of this going to be clever enough to do that?
Yeah.
And then are they going to just beat you over the head with the whole identity politics stuff? Plus, is this time travel thing going to be interesting enough for a whole season? Like, this is something you could probably make, and this is what I said about the first season, was something that would have made a good 2-part episode or a decent 2-part episode to launch a show, but do we really need 10 episodes of this?
I mean, Star Trek works best when you do individual episodes.
Yes.
Or maybe, if you're going to do 10 episodes, maybe 5 2-parters.
Yeah.
I think that would work a lot better. Then you get more variety of storytelling. That's one of the things I didn't like about season 1. It's this one continuous storyline, and if you're not into it, then you're not into it. At least in Star Trek, when they do like a crappy episode, it's just one episode.
Mm-hmm. And you can have the continuing story arc behind each story.
Yeah, like they did in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, yes, the Dominion War was there, but it wasn't the focal point of every episode.
Exactly. So yeah, that's my main prediction, and it's not really a genius prediction. I'm pretty sure from everything we've seen, and from the political perspective of the crew or the cast and crew, I think, and I believe they started writing this before even COVID even started during the Trump administration. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a lazy Trump. Trump's the villain, make the Federation great again garbage.
Now, here's a question I have. You guys have mentioned all these things, but how is Q going to play a role? Because I've got a few predictions about this.
My only prediction about Q is that, and I'm 100% sure this is going to happen, is that Q was going to snap his fingers and Picard's not going to be an android anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's fucking stupid because they spent that was the finale of the first season, so it's like they're going to retcon that immediately. But it's also stupid if they don't retcon it. So just get rid of it. I think Q's going to get rid of that.
Or they just forget about it.
Or they just forget about it. That's totally possible too. Sorry, Schweitzer, go ahead.
Well, no, that's basically it. Q's going to show up and he'll be like, "Oh, Jean-Luc, I had no idea you were sick. If you weren't feeling well, Dr. Q was always welcome to make house calls." And then snap his fingers, and then it's like, "There you go. I just made the last season even more pointless."
Oh, my arthritis is back now. Yeah.
my enlarged
prostate. Is enlarged again. Oh, God, Q.
They call him.
Just kill me. Kill me now. Jean-Luc, how sporting would that be? You can't get off that easily.
Yeah.
I can't get off at all. But also another prediction, they are somehow going to fuck up the Q continuum and make it be like, the Qs aren't omnipotent beings, all their abilities are just like advanced technology somehow.
Oh no.
That would be horrible.
I can see them doing that. Honest to God, I can see them doing it.
It's even worse. They go back in time and in 2024, Q started QAnon.
Oh no.
He's responsible for all the misinformation on the media. It wasn't Russia, it was Q who got Trump elected.
We're going to find out that Q was behind the January 6th riot.
Yeah. We have a scene with Q at the laptop. He's posting on 4chan.
He's got his own QTube channel. Let's go all in, boys.
So yeah, that's my only prediction. But also, based on the fact that Guinan is now living at 10 Forward Avenue, I want to believe that the writers aren't that stupid and that they're not actually sending Picard back in time. That it's a hallucination or a construct based on Picard's mind, because. If this is actually really taking place in the past, and Guinan's at 10 Forward Avenue, that's unbelievably stupid. If this is all a construct made by Q based on Picard's knowledge, that would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, that Picard's mind makes that her address. You know what I mean?
Now,
that would make more sense.
Now, I just realized, or rather just remembered, are they ever going to address the past dealings that happened between Q and Guinan? Because you remember when Q shows up in 10 Forward, he holds out his hand kind of threateningly towards Guinan, but Guinan's got her hands up too, like she is ready to do combat.
She knows
was not
who Q
afraid
is.
of him. Yeah.
She's like the only character who knows who Q is.
Yeah.
And I love that about the Next Generation, how there was this history between Q and Guinan that you could just kind of feel, but they never expand on it. It's like, oh my God, how do they know each other? I had this theory, this like fan theory a while ago that Guinan was a Q and somehow left the continuum or was banished from the continuum. That's why she's like ageless. She never ages. And I know it's not true because apparently her species just lives an insanely long time.
In 2024, they're going to be married.
Who?
Q and Guinan. And then they're going to be exes. That's why they have that passion.
Oh, no. See, I don't think...
Successful interracial marriage, but they're persecuted for it.
See, that's just stupid enough to be plausible.
I'm thinking like the writers.
But that one instance between Guinan and Picard, or Guinan and Q, took place in like one episode in season 2. So I don't think the writers know about it.
I know.
Because it's like one scene. So
That's true.
So I'm sure they don't know that they have a past.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What was I going to say? Something about Guinan? I don't know. I think it's very possible that this is not actually going back in time, but it's all a construct created by Q in Picard's mind.
Or it's quantum leap and Picard leaps back into one of his ancestors' body in 2024.
Maybe that's true too.
Picard, did you know that your great-great-great-grandfather committed a microaggression in the year 2022 when he misgendered a non-binary waitress?
Q is Ziggy.
Based on one of the trailers, it's implied, or I don't know if it's confirmed, but it's kind of implied that Picard uses the Borg Queen to go back in time.
Oh, no.
There is a scene where
Borg Queen.
They have a scene. Yeah, it's played by a different actress this time.
Yes, well, I saw a picture on Twitter today.
Okay. Well, I think the scene in the trailers anyway, it's cut to seem that they're asking like Picard, like, how do we go back in time? How do we fix this? And then Picard's like, I know a way. And then he like opens this door and like this thing comes out where they have the Borg Queen, like, I don't know if she's like shackled to a table or something like that. Like they've captured the Borg Queen. So my theory is that they're going to somehow use the Borg Queen to go back in time, maybe the same way they did it in First Contact, because the Borg know how to time travel. Even though if the Borg knew how to time travel, that would be the absolute most devastating thing to the entire galaxy, and the entire galaxy would be assimilated already. Yeah. Because if the Borg just go back in time whenever they want, well, there's no stopping them then. Yeah. But anyway, the Borg Queen's going to help them go back in time. And I think that Picard is going to agree to become Locutus again in order to have her help him. I think the bargain is going to be, I will help you do this if you either join me as Locutus or take my place as Locutus. I think that's because Picard never became Borg again in season 1, and I think that not that it should happen, but I think that's something the writers would probably want to happen.
Now he's got an android body, so maybe it assimilates better.
I think that may happen. The only other prediction is, and this is kind of a loose prediction, is that in season 1, we know there's going to be a lot of fan service. And they already did fan service from Voyager by bringing 7 of 9 back. I think they're going to have some kind of DS9 fan service in there. My prediction, one, is that since it takes place in California, we may see a reference or like a background reference to, I don't remember what his restaurant's called, like Cisco's Crab Shack or whatever. Because we know that the restaurant's been in Cisco's family for years. So maybe we'll have line like, oh, I know a good Cajun restaurant over on
my God,
San Francisco, and it's. I don't think we're going to see like a digitally de-aged Brock Peters.
No, I think it was in
Ghost or something.
Well, it was in New Orleans, but like, just say like, oh, like the family used. Yeah, exactly.
He owns Red Lobster.
Because in DS9, his restaurant is in San
New
Francisco.
Orleans. No, the restaurant.
Oh no, it is
New Orleans.
in New Orleans. Oh yeah, that's right. for some reason I was thinking it was in the same city as Starfleet headquarters.
No,
Yeah.
they probably either just had a bait or because it's, transporters exist.
But I think they could maybe still make that reference.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there also may be another DS9 cameo, and I was thinking what would be the easiest for them to do, and also what actor would be willing or able or a big enough draw to come back. And I was thinking possibly, now it's taking place in the past, so if we're going to assume that most of this takes place in the past, you can't really have like Dr. Bashir or Kira or whatever.
Well, you could have Dr. Bashir if they incorporated like a Section 31 time travel thing.
Maybe. But I'm operating under the assumption that most of this takes place in the past.
Right.
Like they go to the past in episode 1, and most of it takes place there. So I'm thinking maybe we'll get a previous Dax incarnation. Maybe we'll see Curzon Dax or one of the other Dax hosts. Maybe it'll just be a reference like, they talk to a Trill and, what's your name? Oh, I'm Tobin Dax or whatever.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to have some DS9 fan service in there a little bit, not to completely shit on the show, if they have a cameo from a previous Dax host, that might be kind of cool. It might be okay. And based on the fact that we don't know what the other Dax hosts look like, they were never really played by actors other than that one episode where they enter all the crew's bodies. Mm-hmm. You can just have an actor come back and say, I'm whoever Dax, other than the serial killer Dax, which would be cool if he was in there actually. But anyway, those are my predictions. Nothing major because, like I said, there's not a whole lot of info on season 2 of Picard. They're kind of, I guess, keeping it under wraps. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to review every episode. Maybe I don't know if we can commit to weekly episodes of this podcast, but I want to do them at least a little more frequently.
Are they being released week to week, or are they all
week
at
to
once?
week?
Week to week, yeah. Like I said, it's hard to schedule these podcasts sometimes, so I'm not saying like we got to do them every week, but I think for the next few weeks we should try to do them a little bit more frequently. So at least I can try to make it entertaining for you guys, so you can revel in my suffering. I had a couple movies I wanted to talk about, but is there anything you guys wanted to bring up?
Not really.
No.
You're really contributing a lot to the show.
Well, I did watch Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, yeah?
It was what you'd expect it to be. Member berries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't terrible. As a guy who watched Ghostbusters when he was like 8 years old, I thought, all right, it's cool. It's good enough. It didn't progress the story much. It didn't take you anywhere you didn't expect to be, but I didn't find it offensive. It gave me what I wanted in a Ghostbusters movie. And actually, the actress who played the Egon's granddaughter did a really good job. So as far as child actors go, so if you like Ghostbusters and you want some nostalgia, watch it. If you're looking for a good quality Ghostbusters sequel, you're not going to get it. You're going to get a lot of stuff you already got in the first movie. So if you want to feel good about watching Ghostbusters, watch it. You'll hate it.
I will hate it because I hate the just romanticization of everything involved in nostalgia. Like I didn't see the movie, but I watched the Half in the Bag review, so I know about stuff that happens. Like the fact that, like his granddaughter, or Egon's granddaughter, finds like his secret lab and finds like the old like Nestle's Crunch wrapper from his fucking pockets. Yeah, like
that's a little much.
That's just a throwaway thing that happened in the movie. Like, do we really have to like romanticize every fucking aspect? Or the fact that like they bring the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man back because remember it? That stuff drives me fucking nuts.
I think a lot of it was overcompensation for the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Whereas I think if they just did this movie as a sequel and the other one didn't exist, I don't think they would have beaten you over the head with nostalgia as much. But they overcorrected.
Yeah.
So some of it is a little eye-rolly cringy. But I don't know. I'm 45. I'm right in the target demo for nostalgia. So for me, it worked. It was okay.
Fair enough. I'm still not going to see it.
I don't blame you.
Schweitzer, anything?
About Ghostbusters? No,
anything you want to talk about?
Well, I was kind of following the somewhat drama about Futurama's coming back, but the actor John DiMaggio, who plays the voice of Bender, was holding out for whatever reason, but now he's not. And my opinion is
what's going to happen.
Well,
so he's in now. He's going to be in it.
He's in now. But my thing is, why do we keep going back to the well? Why does Matt Groening have to keep doing this? I mean, like, I know
no one cares about Disenchanted.
No kidding. And it's like, well, that's the problem. It's like, you keep focusing on, oh, well, maybe I'll bring back Futurama for the 5th time on the 6th different network. It's like, why do you think it kept getting canceled over and over and over? Dwindling ratings. And plus, I watched the final episode that they did, like, from a couple of years ago. It was great. It's like, that's a beautiful, wonderful way to wrap up the series. It makes you say, wow, what a great place to end it. But it also makes you say, I wish they were making more. But either way, don't.
No, I don't wish they were making, because I found, and I really loved the final episode, but I found by about that last season, there was a lot of filler episodes that I just didn't like all that much.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, it's losing its quality. You're kind of running out of ideas. Let's bring it home. I thought they did that perfectly. You bring it back again, it's going to turn into The Simpsons and Family Guy, where just, this zombie will not fucking die. Let it go. End it. Family Guy should have ended 15 years ago. Simpsons should have ended 20 years ago. South Park, fortunately, it's still pretty decent. Because they only do a handful of episodes a year or every couple of years now, so it's not bad.
And also because I watched the most recent episode this morning, and I think, okay, it's the fact that they make them so quickly, like it only takes them a week to make an episode, that it's topical, and, you know, it doesn't feel like, you know, it's like how some shows take years to get around to like covering a topic. It's like, oh wow, you know, like, who cares?
Or they don't have to keep reinventing the character's backstory or history like they do in The Simpsons.
Right.
Like we had, in the first 8 or so seasons, you had a pretty well-established backstory of how Homer and Marge met and their history.
Yeah.
And, you know, every season they did an episode where you did a flashback, and while the year moved, the storyline of how they met, where they met, and the first word, all that stuff was pretty much continuity, and it didn't change all that much. It was well grounded. But then they started getting into like later seasons where now all of a sudden Homer's a fucking 90s French singer and she was like banging a university professor or something. Like, what is all this shit?
And then they do stories like, oh, well, Homer and Marge actually really met at a summer camp, but they just didn't know each other when they met again. It's like, oh, stop it.
Yeah. See, that where you don't have as much of that in South Park, or if they do, they make a joke about it. So
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not looking forward to this Futurama reboot. I'll probably will watch it, but I'm very, very pessimistic about it, and I honestly just think they should leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. Cut their losses. I pretty much agree with you guys. I actually think when Futurama was canceled for the first time, I think that ended pretty well. That was the opera episode.
Oh, Idle Hands Are the Devil's Plaything.
Yeah. Not only is it a great episode, but I love the fact that it just ends with Fry and Leela.
Yes.
I think they just kind of hold hands at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't get, like, you get the sense that, oh, they're finally going to, you know, finally going to fall in love, and that's it. And that is perfect for me. I love.
It was very simple.
Very simple. I love that little. I like when they keep it. Like I actually felt open-ended. I actually felt it was kind of a romantic ending. Like, oh, Fry and Leela are finally going to get together. It's so sweet. And then they brought it back, and they had a pretty decent run when it came back. Mm-hmm. But the last couple seasons were weak. It wasn't terrible. It certainly is not, you know, Simpsons bad. But when they ended it again, they ended it well. And just leave it.
I would say the last season got to about where Simpsons season 10 got. Where it's like, you're still good there, but you could tell the cracks are showing.
Yeah.
The principal and the pauper have shown up. Now it's time to start wrapping things up. And I liked the last episode where, again, it was kind of open-ended because they're like, hey, you want to go back around again? How far back in time are they going? How much of their life is erased because of what happened with the time button and Professor having to bring them back to that point? So yeah, it was left open-ended. They had their happy ending, but not really. And I thought it was a perfect ending.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can only do so many episodes about Fry and Leela love each other, or Fry misses his family from, you know, the 20th century. It's like, it's been done.
Also, I'm sure they're going to do this. I don't want them to, but I don't like there was the episode near the beginning of the, I don't know, season 5 or whatever, they brought it back, and it was like the iPhone episode where it's jokes about the iPhone.
Yes.
And I don't want them to bring it back and then they're just doing
TikTok.
like TikTok topical humor, like, the professor becomes a TikTok star, or like Bender gets canceled or something like that. I don't, and I'm sure they're going to do something like that, and I don't want that. And you know what? But to give the show credit, when it comes back, I'll probably at least give it a shot. I have the bare minimum amount of confidence that they might not totally screw it up, but my hopes aren't high.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good that John DiMaggio's back, because you can't have that show without Bender.
No.
There's just no way. So I was going to talk about a couple movies I saw that I didn't like very much, but I don't think it's worth it. Let's just go on to trivia. How about that?
Very good.
Okay, so this is a continuation of a trivia game I came up with years ago that I think you guys really liked, and I've been struggling to try to find a name for it, a clever name for this trivia game, but I can't come up with one. It's I think I just called it like woke movie reviews or something, where I took excerpts from like really progressive movie reviews about why certain movies are problematic, and you have to name the movie. My best name was, I wanted to call it Triggered at the Movies with Siskel and Ziebert. Siskel spelled C-I-S-K-L, and Ziebert with X and I.
Jen Ziebert.
But that doesn't translate very well to audio podcast. It's funny when you see it written down. But anyway, this is that game. If you guys can come up with a name for it, I'd be very happy, because I could not. So the way we'll do this is I will read you an excerpt from this review, and based on that review, you try to tell me the name of the movie they're reviewing. And all these movies come from the last 2 or 3 years. They're all very recent.
Okay.
And don't wait until I'm done reading it, and then you can both say your answers.
Okay.
Okay? So the first one, this is by Guy Longstreet from Medium. This brings us to the problematic, and all the names of the movies are blanked out, or if it's like an actor's name mentioned, I just put like actor's name.
Okay.
Wait. Say the reviewer's name again?
Guy Longstreet.
How do you know he identifies as a guy?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And I know he's long.
So this is the first one. This brings us to the problematic tale of blank movie, a film by plot-bending mastermind blank, who rightly cast a black male in the lead role of the most anticipated movie of 2020. But like the COVID-19 virus, which unexpectedly ravaged our lives that year, another contagion infiltrated this time-warping crime caper. A virus rarely discussed outside of the context of Jim Crow South, a disease most believed would never be spread beyond the Mason-Dixon. Racism. Not your KKK, you can't sit here, lynch 'em up racism. A new, deadlier variant has taken hold in the 21st century, one that permeates both conservative and liberal America. Aversive racism. So what time-bending crime caper from 2020 suffers from aversive racism?
Tenet.
That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
Tenet, that's correct. Very racist film.
Holy shit.
I don't even care if I win or lose this game. This is great.
So this next one is from Stella Duffy of the BBC. Seriously, it's 2019. What on earth are Disney doing having a film that has no leads that are black characters? Yes, there are black actors, but they are yellow and they are green and they are plush. How can they possibly think that's all right now? Okay, let's talk about the white feminism on display here. Oh, look, blank's a feminist. No, she's not. She's still going to fall in love. She's still going to have the happily ever after. That's not feminism. Women having happy endings is not feminism.
No, women giving happy endings. That's feminism.
So what movie is that, guys?
I'm going to make a guess. Is it Inside Out?
It's not.
Was it Minions?
It is not. It's Toy Story 4.
Oh!
That they are yellow and they're plush.
Oh, right.
But there are no black
Of
characters
course.
in it.
Oh.
Because they're all toys.
Well, isn't Mr. Potato Head kind of...
I guess so. Yeah, maybe. That's a gray area. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to say this. In order to try to be fair, I have also included a couple excerpts from some conservative movie reviews to try to just mix it up a little. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's this one from Brad Slager of Red Slate. There is main actress who clearly serves as the anti-vaccine avatar. She is battling the pro-mask antagonist from the beginning, serving as the representation of the irrationally driven opponent. There are more nuances than you realize, once privy to the messaging by the screenplay. In the first act, there is a confounding flashback to 1978, which at first seems to be arbitrary, as it has no real place in the universe of the movie. But once the metaphorical intent is realized, you begin to see the reasoning. This represents the early breakout of the virus from the Wuhan laboratory, the unleashing of the fatal aspects of the virus before becoming the unstoppable force of death and carnage. The object lesson is clear. Those opposing the safety measures today are assured of their own demise, and this is delivered in an appropriately frightening package. Maybe this allegory is just what will be needed to convince people of the dangers and finally sign on to Joe Biden's safety measures.
What
movie review is that from?
That was a movie review?
Believe it or not, the main actress serves as an anti-vaccine avatar and is battling the pro-mask antagonist.
I'm going to guess Godzilla versus King Kong.
That is incorrect.
Try to think of what even came up. Black Widow?
Nope, sorry. That is a review from Halloween Kills. And the title of the review...
Oh my god, that's great.
The title of the review is Halloween Kills is the COVID allegory we've all been dying for.
Oh,
good stuff, huh?
Yes.
Oh god, my face and my stomach.
Alright, ready for the next one?
Yes! Yes!
Okay, so this next one. Now, I know that director did not intend to comment on the Trump era when he was writing this movie. I am aware that he was working on it in novel form for 5 years before he even molded it into a screenplay, which makes it virtually impossible for contemporary politics to have entered into his thought process. You can see this movie in 2019 and not notice the threads that tie it to what's happening now. The radical left, Trump has said, has nothing but contempt for America's heritage. They see our history as a source of shame. The radical left is one term that Trump and other Republicans used to describe members of the Democratic Party. So is socialists. In the 1960s, both those words were often used by men and women to describe, guess who? Hippies.
This is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It is Once Upon a Time.
Oh!
Good job,
Well done!
Their argument in this review was that since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is problematic because it makes fun of hippies and the progressive left are modern-day hippies.
Right.
So, because they fight the establishment, supposedly. That's her argument.
Nice.
Great stuff, right? Okay, I'm going to stop reading who wrote these and who they wrote them for, because it really doesn't matter.
Okay.
So this next one. Yes, the movie is unabashedly about Donald Trump. Much of the uproar surrounding its guns have clouded this. There's even a Hillary Clinton figure. Blank is seen in a whole new light, portrayed as an out-of-touch, liberal elitist up for election. He's given his own basket of deplorables moment where, like Clinton, he alienates swaths of those he's running to defend and in turn radicalizes them. The main character has a callous disregard for human life, assaults and objectifies women, and unceasingly attacks the establishment while gleefully ignoring laws and common morality.
Is it No Time to Die?
It is not No Time to Die. So is there any guess?
It can't be Halloween Kills again.
No.
Oh my, what the fuck is wrong with these people? You know what? Pass.
That is a review of Joker.
Oh my god.
And that blank is seen as a whole new light, as the Hillary Clinton figure, that was Thomas Wayne.
Oh.
They think Thomas Wayne was a Hillary Clinton figure. I didn't get that at all.
No.
I don't, okay.
Oh my god.
More of a Donald Trump figure, really.
Yeah.
That was really weird, but... Okay. Next one. Audiences are plagued with a recent wave of films with hostile views towards men, and this movie is no different. Every man on screen not named main actor is portrayed as a misogynist or predator of some kind. Women are constantly catcalled and straight up assaulted by random men whose purpose is to cement the idea that women are victims in a male-dominated society. Even when women are given carte blanche to do whatever they want in a movie, they think they can stop thinking about men. Characters make really dumb decisions just for the sake of advancing the plot, such as wishing for more nukes to win the Cold War instead of just winning the Cold War.
Wonder Woman 84.
That is correct. It is Wonder Woman 1984. And that was one of the conservative reviews, by the way.
Oh my God.
Okay. Blank is a murder mystery with an all-star cast. A murder mystery with an all-star cast shows the tensions around America's views of immigrants and the immigration process. The movie, which has spurred Oscar buzz and recently nabbed 3 Golden Globe nominations, is on top 10 film lists and has inspired heated questions about how to tell immigration narratives ethically and effectively. The movie was really fun. Blank was a really fun movie that I almost entirely enjoyed, and yet I can't help but feel like the whole immigration stuff was a well-intentioned mistake of whiteness.
Knives Out.
That is correct. That is a review of Knives Out.
Yeah.
Very good.
Because I thought like with Ryan Johnson, like the subverting expectations, he would do that. It's like, I'm going to rat your family out to the INS, and then it'd be like, oh yeah, they all became American citizens like a couple weeks ago. Like, what you gonna do? Deport your own citizens?
Next one. This is a conservative review, by the way. Based on the publicity, I expected 138 minutes of straight-up conservative bashing. I had planned to hate-watch 20 minutes, shut it off, and then cleanse the palate by watching oil workers save the planet in Armageddon. Blank works for the most part because it actually has nothing to do with global warming, which is a hoax. The movie's really about how our American establishment lies and lies and lies, how the media uses shiny objects to distract us, how the scientific community sells us out for empty media fame and corporate grants, and how the FBI is politically compromised, and how big tech is run by nerd sociopaths with too much power.
I'm going to guess it's the recent movie Look Up.
I'll give it to you. It's Don't Look Up.
Oh, Don't Look Up.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. I don't even heard of that movie.
Okay. With the release of Blank, a biopic centered on main character, LGBT issues are once again put into the spotlight. This furthers awareness on the glaring issue that faces these biopics, which is unfortunately full-blown homophobia. Blank, however, has been approached differently. With an R rating, the filmmakers have apparently approached the depiction of his life more accurately, with same-sex scenes sticking to their truths, without a need to pander to the mainstream Hollywood blockbuster audience out of fear of homophobic backlash. I have not seen the film, so I don't have a place to comment on the content.
It's the Elton John movie. Was it Goodbye Yellow Brick Road?
No.
I forget the name of it. Shit.
I will give it to Bubs, because are you thinking of Rocket Man?
Yes.
It is Rocket Man.
Yes. I knew them. I just couldn't think of it. I knew it was one of his songs. I just couldn't remember which one it was.
See, I was actually going to guess Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I have not seen the film, so I don't have the place to comment on the content. That was in her review of the film.
It was. I liked it way better than Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought it was a great film.
I didn't see it, but I didn't like Bohemian Rhapsody too much.
Yeah.
Sorry, Schweitzer, what?
Whose review was that?
That was from Jenna Driesenstock of The Playground. Yeah, that very popular online magazine.
If you don't watch it, you shouldn't review it.
Okay, the last one. The Blank franchise generally earns critical acclaim, but the film introduces a rare flaw, a sexist or at least very lazy design of the new dragon. The movie faces similar issues with its human characters, but we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about the sexual dimorphism, the quasi-scientific explanation for why even cartoon animals face sexist beauty standards. Sexual dimorphism is the term for visible differences between male and female animals. Common examples include lions and peacocks, where you can instantly differentiate between sexes. Just look at Brave, which was celebrated for its strong female lead. There are 3 women in the main cast: Merida, who is cute and slim, her mom, who is cute and slim, and the witch, who is, of course, an old crone. The men are more distinctive, with bizarre hairstyles, extreme body shapes, and ugly faces. Even in fantasy cartoons, women are restricted by a kind of enforced prettiness.
Train Your Dragon 4. I don't know. How many of those are there?
3.
I'll give it to you. It's How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Wow. I was going to guess Frozen 2.
Oh, that would be a good guess.
I think there's a dragon in that.
But I love her. I love her reasoning that that the movie is sexist. movies are sexist because women are portrayed as attractive, which is sex, and men are portrayed as ugly, which makes it sexist towards women. Not the other way around.
Right.
Men are portrayed as ugly. How sexist towards women.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wish you didn't get that, Bubs, because now we have a tie score, and I didn't prepare a tiebreaker.
Well, you know what? I think Bubs and I are both winners because in the end, you are the one who has to watch Star Trek Picard Season 2.
That's true. So this one, I guess this one will end in
the
a draw.
prize money.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Don't
How
spend
many
it all
bars-
in one place.
Yeah, how many bars of gold press latinum, exactly?
Yeah, so I'm going to definitely try to do that one again because that's a lot of fun to read.
Oh my god, that is.
Where do you find those damn things?
You know what I do? I found lists of recent movies, and I type in the name of the movie and then either the words problematic, sexist, or racist, or homophobic. And
Oh
then
my
it's
God.
really easy.
Oh my god. The fact that all this shit exists out there,
Yeah,
and there's people that religiously follow these people on either side,
yeah.
blows my mind.
Well, the conservative ones were fun too, although they were harder to find.
Yeah.
There's not as many conservatively focused movie reviews, unfortunately.
No.
But, yeah, they're very easy to find. There's tons of
A
them.
lot of them are probably university students.
Yeah. And just, like, no-name magazine websites that nobody watches, like, you know, well, that one's from NBC News. That's a bad example. Whatever. So, yeah, that's our episode. I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about next time. Maybe we'll do another Bond review. I like doing these Bond reviews a lot, but we try not to do two in a row.
Yeah.
So, although, since we're going to be talking about Star Trek Picard,
Ooh, Wheel of Trek?
maybe we can do that. Do we want to maybe pull out a Wheel of Trek one now and review
Why
it
not?
next time?
Why not?
All right. Fill some dead air while I
Do
go
you even
grab
know where the Wheel of Trek is?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh.
It's in a shrine under constant guard.
So I recently rewatched the good Star Trek movies.
Ooh.
My only problem is I put them on late and I fall asleep halfway through because I've seen them so many times.
Right.
But I still enjoy the hell out of watching them. So can you guess what the good ones I think are?
Well, I know that you said that you actually have a higher opinion of Star Trek the motion picture.
No.
Oh, no?
No.
Oh, I might be mistaken.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
In my mind, the good ones are 2, kind of 3, 4, 6, kind of First Contact.
So I watched
Go ahead.
2, 3, 4, and 6. I didn't want to go into Next Generation stuff. I just wanted to be. I want to.
2, 4, and 6 are definitely the best.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to live in a world where there's only 6 original Star Trek movies and Generations doesn't exist. I want that crew to go out, second star on the left, and straight on some morning. That's how I
That's
want
the
to
perfect
remember
ending.
them. I don't want anything else. So that's why I stopped.
Weren't you a Star Trek Generations apologist? Didn't you try to defend it?
Yes.
I think that is I was going to say that's my least favorite of the TNG movies. Nemesis is worse. But
Yes.
Generations, I think, is really bad. I hate it.
I don't know. I'm not going to go into all of it again.
It had a lot of potential, but either way,
It did.
I actually don't hate Insurrection. It kind of feels like a weak 2-parter episode to me. It's not good, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, like you say, it makes a better episode than a movie.
I would rather watch Star Trek Insurrection than both parts of what was it called? The one where Lore's taken over the Borg.
Descent.
Descent.
Oh, right.
I'd rather watch Insurrection than part 1 and 2 of Descent. Put it that way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, but what would you rather watch, Nemesis or Star Trek V?
Oh,
Ooh.
Well, Nemesis is stupid, which makes it kind of funny, whereas Star Trek V is just boring most of the time.
Yeah, I would have said the other way. I would have said, I'll watch Star Trek V over Nemesis because I just really hate Nemesis and what they did to everybody.
I hate Nemesis too.
Versus Star Trek V, it's so bad, it's cheesy and kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I would
it's
say
hard.
Nemesis because at least it's not boring.
Mm.
And I think Star Trek V is mostly just boring. What about you, Schweitz? What would you rather watch?
I would have to lean towards Star Trek Nemesis because as I would watch it, I would try to rewrite it to make it a better film. I don't think there's anything you could do with Star Trek V to really improve it.
Not really.
No.
It's bad.
Anyway, As you can see, Bubs, the Wheel of Trek has been upgraded to an old Subway bag, to a nice faux silk bag with a drawstring that I think a pair of headphones came in at one point. So, how long have we had the Wheel of Trek? Like 8 years now?
Oh, close to 10, I bet.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I remember we did it when we were in your basement doing this between episodes of the Ring Crew show, so that's how long that's been.
I'm surprised the bag didn't disintegrate, but then again, non-biodegradable. Co-plastic.
It's true. So anyway, for those who don't know, the Wheel of Trek is we've had a bag here with about, 20 or so now episodes of Star Trek episodes from any of the series, really, and I think we each wrote 10 of them. And we're going to pick one at random, and Schweitzer is going to use his encyclopedic brain to tell us what episode it is.
We wrote 10 for various reasons. Some for really good reasons.
Some are good, some are bad.
Really bad.
We pulled the Omega Glory at one point. So that's how you know there's some stinkers in here. Okay, I pulled it out, and no way.
Is the Omega Glory again?
Oh, no. I thought it was Descent. I read it wrong. It's Defiant.
Defiant, yes, that is from season 3 of Deep Space Nine, starring, with special guest star, Jonathan Frakes, but not as William T. Riker. Dun dun dun. What is going on? And who has really kidnapped Major Kira and stolen the starship Defiant? This is a pretty good episode.
What's going on?
Yeah, that's a good pick, because I remember it, but I don't remember a lot of details, so that'll be fun to revisit. I looked at it and I thought it was Descent, because I can barely read, so.
And I can't write, so.
You've got Ironic syndrome.
I think it was mine. That was in my writing.
But yeah, if you can read it, it's your writing.
All right, so next episode, not only will we be talking about at least the first episode of Picard Season 2, but we'll be talking about the Deep Space Nine episode of Defiant. So Star Trek fans definitely tune in for that one, and non-Star Trek fans, well, if you listen to this podcast, you probably listened to a lot of Star Trek discussions already, so just try to bear with it. Anyway, so that's it for this episode, and we'll be back next time. And if I don't hang myself watching Star Trek Picard, I'll be with you once again. It's been a good run, guys. Who hosts the podcast when I'm dead?
Oh no, it dies with you.
Oh, it dies with me?
Yes.
Well, post my obituary on Facebook.
We'll create a hologram of you and then splice it. Well, remember the Punga interview? We'll do that.
You can use like an AI deep learning algorithm on all the old episodes of the show to recreate my voice.
Yeah.
Don't make me say anything racist, though. I don't want to be canceled post-death. Anyway, next time.